So I just did my video on test driving the T3 stack. And one of the cool things that I found in that T3 video is how the T3 stack does environment variables. T3, Theo, has another package called env Next.js, and there might be a non-Next.js version. It's essentially a way to use Zod to type your environment variables and essentially manage those in a better way. So I'm checking out the T3 env repo. And I see this thing in here called Biome init, and it touches like all these files. So I'm looking at this PR, I'm like, what's going on? Biome is a project that I have apparently heard of before because it turns out I already follow it on X, but I must not have paid that close attention to it. But it seems pretty cool. So Biome is a formatter, a linter, and it does it all super fast. So you can think of it as a replacement for both Prettier and ESLint, which is pretty cool. Like it's nice to combine those things, and it does it a lot faster. And it's highly compatible with Prettier, so 97% compatibility. They have integrations with VSCode. That's all pretty cool. So, that's nice. But the thing that kind of caught my attention is as I'm scrolling down here, not only is it a performant linter, and not only does it take rules from ESLint and TypeScript ESLint and other things, but it also has detailed and contextualized diagnostics that help you improve your code and become a better programmer. For instance, it gives the example here to do where you might have had a map and then a flat, and it suggests that you could replace this with a flat map. That is pretty cool. That is something that I haven't seen before, and it's kind of nice that it's just baked in. So again, this is kind of now my test driving of Biome. So I've just done that T3 stack video. Now I want to pull in Biome and see how that affects an existing repository. So this is the T3 TRPC repo that I did in my last video. And we can see here that this uses Prettier and it uses ESLint. And I'm curious what the process is to replace that with Biome, see if it makes any changes to the existing code here, what those changes would be, and how it interacts with VS Code. So let's jump in and do that together. Always a good place to start is the Getting Started button on any page. So we've got an installation here. I've got PNPM. Let's copy that and add that into here. All right. Next up is configuration. We recommend creating a biome.json configuration file. So we can run this init command here. We'll do that as well. So that has created a biome.json file. I like that it starts very simple. You know what else I like here? Something that I do manually all the time in VS Code is run the organize imports command, and I love seeing that that is baked into Biome. That's really nice. Okay, so we have this enabled. You can use it by the CLI. You can lint and apply safe fixes using apply them both with check, etc. Okay, I'm really interested in the editor plugin. So let's go to the editor page. I, of course, use VS Code. We'll go to the Biome VS Code extension, and we'll install that to VS Code. Okay, so I'll hit install, and we're installed. So I can see Biome here in the bottom. Okay, so Biome is installed. I do want to see earlier, though, when we created when we used the biome init command, we can see that out of the JSON file, next steps. I like that it gives you next steps here. Set up an editor extension. We just did that. Try a command. Biome CI checks for lint errors and verifies formatting. Run Biome help for full list of commands. Okay, cool. Read the documentation. All right, get involved in the community. So let's run a Biome CI. PNPM Biome CI. Missing argument input. Do you have to just run dot? This video should come with a warning. I'm going to refer back to the Biome documentation. Okay, so in the usage here, in the Getting Started page, by the way, we have a format command, we have a lint command, and we also have a check command. I do have some changes pending here. Let's go ahead and clean those out. I'm just going to commit those and say install Biome. And I'm curious to run these and see what changes it has based, that differ from our existing code. I'm just going to run that here, and then we'll use the, we need some files. Okay, we will do dot. And we will use our Git to see what has changed here. Oof, okay, lots of things have changed. Interesting. So it's made some white space differences. It looks like it is defaulting to tabs rather than 2 spaces. Am I reading that right? I believe that I am. Okay, I definitely want 2 spaces. In fact, I want to go back to the T3 env project and see what is in their biome. Yes, formatter, enable true, indent width to indent style space. Yes, that's interesting and weird that Biome does. It looks like tabs. I could be wrong. Looks like tabs. Okay, so let us add in a formatter section. Enable true, and do indent width to indent style space. All right, let's rerun this command. And I'm just writing everything to the project here because I can use the source control changes to see what has changed. So now it has adjusted the spacing in our biome file to do 2 spaces. That's nice. Looks like we did not have a trailing comma in a few different places in our .m file. This wasn't spaced out appropriately. No trailing comma in this call. And again, another trailing comma. Okay, so a few minor things here, but I will say that was pretty fast. So it formatted 100 files in 45 milliseconds. Pretty decent. So let's say apply biome formatting. Next up, let's try the other one. So we have format and we have lint. By the way, there is a check that does both, but I'm curious. You can lint and apply safe fixes to files directly using lint command and with the apply flag. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. This one's called write, this one's called apply. So I'm going to do the same thing in the entire project. I pasted that into the Git message again. We'll do it on dot, and we will do apply. Some errors were omitted while running checks. Let's see if it tells us what. Okay, so this is finding a lot of things in the .next directory, which I want to ignore because we don't actually create that directory. That is generated by Next. So let us look at the configuration. And for files, let's add an ignore section. Yes, let's add a file section with ignore. So we'll go to our biome config, our biome.json, and at the very top, I think would be a good place, is files, and we will ignore .next/star. So anything in this .next directory. So I'm going to save that, and again, I'm going to run it and apply. Okay, fixed 22 files in 14 milliseconds. Let's go back up to the last one. Fixed 100 files. The number of diagnostics exceeds the number allowed by Biome. Oh. We have a much shorter version of our linting now. So we have template literals are preferred over string concatenation. unsafe fix, use a template literal. So this is saying that this is an unsafe fix. There are some cases where using a plus sign would produce different results than a template literal, but in this case, then that would be pretty fine here. So I'm going to go to that file, and I can see that we do in fact have our red squiggly here. And it says, in line with the VSCode extension, template literals are preferred over string concatenation. Does it have a quick fix? It does, so use template literal. We'll go ahead and save that. Next up, oh, that was really it. Let's look at our source control. Oh, okay, so I think that was it. Are there other things? No, okay, so fix 22 files in 13 milliseconds. And that was really the only item that it produced. So we have that one quick change, and then we have the files ignore section in our biome.json. So let's apply lint. Okay, we'll keep that. Next, I don't need, now that we have this, I don't need ESLint anymore, and I don't need Prettier anymore. So let's go to our package.json, and do we have Prettier in here? We do have Prettier. There is Prettier plugin Tailwind CSS. I wonder if Biome has anything for Tailwind. Use sorted classes not released. Okay, this rule hasn't been released yet. This rule is part of the nursery group. You gotta love developers. I love developers. Okay, let's learn about nursery group. Nursery, new rules that are still under development. Nursery rules require explicit opt-in. Okay, that's fun. Use sorted classes. So it will sort these. Was that everything to do with Tailwind? Important notes. It's all use sorted classes. This is a very nice search, by the way. It is analogous, it is analogous to Prettier plugin Tailwind CSS, which is the package that I was concerned about removing. So how do we use a nursery rule? Nursery rule. Maybe that's down in configuration. So there's a way to turn on all of them, all of the nursery rules. Maybe we just do the one. Linter rules nursery, etc. Let's pull up our biome file. Linter rules recommended is set to true. That's good. So nursery, now let's do, here we go. Sort. Use sorted classes. Use sorted. Let me just go ahead and run the lint again. We do have errors. Biome exited because the configuration resulted in errors. Accepted keys. It did not like this key. So perhaps that is so hot off the presses that it's not an option here. But perhaps when you're watching this video, use sorted keys would either be in nursery or perhaps enabled by default. So check that out when you're watching this. For now, I'm going to get by without it and remember to add it later. Back to cleaning up our project. I am going to do a pnpm rm prettier. Can I do a prettier star? I've never done that before in pnpm. Let's see if it works. No, okay. We'll do a prettier plugin Tailwind CSS. Okay, so we've removed those. Let's see, Prisma, post CSS. We have ESLint. So now I want to pnpm rn ESLint and ESLint config next. Now that's interesting. Is there anything biome related with Next.js? Anything at all? Biome Next.js. Okay, I don't see anything Next.js specific here. I'm just going to proceed with removing this. Prefixer, TypeScript. So we've got like all of these things. All of this configuration. I really like reducing things down. We don't need these types. pnpm, rm. I'm also going to remove our prettier config. Don't need that anymore. And our ESLint config. Quite a few things in here, but this really came with the T3 defaults. I haven't changed anything in there. I am going to go ahead and delete this. And now we are fully running on Biome. So let me take a look at my changes. We are going to commit these up. So remove ESLint and Prettier. I've been using Prettier for years. Feels weird. Okay, one of the things I want to try out sounds super small, I'm sure, but is the organization of imports. So if I just willy-nilly like move things around here and hit save, ooh, it doesn't reorganize the imports. Okay. If I just space things out here and hit save, okay, it's not automatically formatting. Now, what may have happened is because I've switched all this out, I've deleted my Prettier file, all that sort of stuff, VS Code itself may be confused because this was a Prettier project and now it's a Biome project. So I'm going to do VS Code a favor and reload the window and see if that helps it along. So I've reloaded the window here. I do see Prettier down here, I do see Biome down here. I also see Prettier, but we'll see. So if I hit save, let me change a few more things, hit save, still doesn't do it. Okay, let me check my options. So format, I do want format on save, and I do have that selected. Default formatter, it does say none. Before I set that, let me go in here to format document. Configure default formatter. There are multiple formatters for TypeScript JSX. One of them should be configured as the default. Configure. Okay, so we've got multiple here. Let's do Biome. Save. Okay. I am moving that up and down. It is formatting. So it's formatting, but it's not reordering the imports. Okay, so after doing some digging, I found that the import sorting is experimental in the VS Code extension, but I do want to try that. So they give you this code snippet to add to your settings.json file. So if you do Command-Shift-P and do settings, JSON, you can open your user settings and then go ahead and put this in. So we've got editor, code actions on save, source, organize imports, Biome. Ironically enough, this is set to true, but it's saying that it expects a string. If we pop this open, then we've got always explicit or never. Let me try setting that to always. Going back here and hitting save, and it does in fact reorder the imports in alphabetical order as you might expect. So that was a little bit buried, a little bit hard to find, but that is a separate setting that you do have to set on import sorting, and it does it via Biome. Kind of weird that it's set to true here, but maybe that should be changed. We'll see. Another thing to notice is I had two different formatters set, one for TypeScript and one for TypeScript React. One of these was set to Prettier and one was set to Biome. So I've gone in and set both of these now to Biome. One last thing is I do kind of want to see that example of mapping and then flatting work and see what that looks like when it suggests a different way to do things. So let's create a variable in this random file called list, and I'm going to take an array, let's just say 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to map that. We will multiply it times 2, and then we will flat that, and I do get a red squiggly now here. And it says the call chain can be replaced with a single flat map. If I hit save, okay, it doesn't do that for me, but I do get that red squiggly. So I can come in here, do a quick fix, replace that, and it adjusts my code for me. So that's a pretty cool thing that Biome has. I would be very interested in what those rules are, what those suggestions are for just improving your code. I don't know what they are, but that's pretty cool. Well, this is going to take some playing around with. Of course, you won't know what it's like until you use it in the wild, use it in the real world. But I do like that it replaces both Prettier and ESLint. ESLint's quite a bit to configure anyway. I do like that it is faster, and I do like that it has these suggestions to improve your code. If you're the curious type, if you like trying new things and experimenting new things, then perhaps check out Biome. Seems pretty cool, and I'll let you know what I think the more that I use this. We'll see if I can find a project or two that I'm willing to try this on. If you enjoyed this video, drop me a like, consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Have a great one.